Hello and welcome to another episode of the Plus 63 HP podcast. I'm one of your hosts, John Clemente. Alongside with me are two of my bestest best friend. We'll start with the person on your screen, far left, all the way from the Philippines. CHUBAX, how are you doing?
What's up, and CHUBAX? Pretty happy to be here. Talk some Star Wars.
Yep, very excited to close this latest of our series out. In the middle of your screen, just waking up from the West Coast. Arnie, how are you doing?
Hello. It's been great, man. Just as you can see, I just woke up and ready to talk Star Wars, man.
There we go.
Yeah, it is Star Wars Day. And if this is your first time here, thank you very much for watching. Again, we are Plus 63 HP. We are a stable of podcasts where we talk about this show, our review show, where we deep dive into a particular TV series or a movie of the week. We discuss it, we give our opinions, provide our ratings. So you'll have a little bit more information whether you should watch it yourself with your friends and your family. We also have a D&D show, like CHUBAX, myself, a couple of our other friends have decided to play our very, very first D&D campaign, record it and put it online for posterity. Those episodes drop middle of the week. We are I think we're about to hit our third year in this particular campaign. So
It's
it
getting
is super
spicy.
fun, getting a little bit more adventurous. So if you're into tabletop RPGs, I want to join our adventure, please check that show out. We also have our react show where we have a curated list of trailers, features, videos, clips. We react to them, give it a plus or minus to see how hyped we are for that upcoming content. That typically drops towards the end of the week. And on occasion, Chubax and our other bestest best friend RJ cannot get enough of D&D, and they have a second campaign where they play bad guys. So those drop also towards the end of the week whenever they find time. So housekeeping done. This is our reviews episode of the last 3 episodes of the latest Star Wars drop on Disney Plus, The Acolyte. We are discussing episode 6, Teach Corrupt, episode 7, Choice, and episode 8, The Acolyte. As per usual, before we jump into the synopsis and the details of the show, drop our opinions about it. We're gonna go round table, uh, give each other an opportunity to give a non-spoilery review on maybe the last batch, the last arc of season 1 of the Acolyte. I'm gonna start with Chubax. Well, what do you think about the last few episodes?
Oh, I loved it. I had so much fun. So much fun with it. It's not perfect, or
Mhm.
it's probably not in the top tier, but it's pretty close, and I had fun with it. Lots of things that I enjoyed.
Arnie?
Um, yeah, just like Chubax, I've just add like the lightsaber battle choreography is I think one of the better ones or the best ones so far. Uh, and of course the uh Master Soul and Chimere pretty much carried the series
Mm.
according to my opinion. And yeah, I mean, and yeah, it's not perfect, it's not the best, but it's good enough for me,
Mm.
so it's
Pretty
good.
damn good.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a fun series for me too. Again, echoing what everybody else said. It's not perfect. There are some pacing issues, but I think what I'm gonna give this series is, I'm gonna give it props for at least trying out this very funky format and dropping the chronology of the story in different episodes. So like because we are starting from the present and then we're unearthing a lot of data or a lot of information from the past. There's some flashbacks here and there. There's rejiggering of perspectives. Like, one perspective will be from one side, another perspective on another, which was fun.
Really cool.
I also want
Rashomon-esque.
very Rashomon, like Akira Kurosawa method of multiple, like almost the thing with the only difference is in Akira Kurosawa, it's not just a different perspective, but also a totally different interpretation of the scene. This one is just a little bit, but again, I appreciate that they tried that. And again, this is a fun series. Definitely not top. It's weird because in terms of fight scenes, choreography, and inter episode stuff, I think this is very high, very high. I'm gonna give it high marks, but the story is the one that kind of lost me a little bit. It's not as clean as we wanted, and but it has so much potential on what they tried to show us. So, in the end, it's still extremely entertaining. And then uh, it is also curious them ending on a cliffhanger because
It's not really.
Mhm.
I don't really consider that one a cliffhanger
that
personally.
okay, we can discuss about it because like I don't I, I personally I don't think the season can close. Well, it can technically, but like if for example we don't get another season of Acolyte, which we haven't heard we're gonna get, it was never listed as a multi-season show. Uh, I actually always thought that it was going to be a one and done, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know whether that was enough. But again, we can discuss it and then we shall start it now. We'll go through quickly the synopsis of episode 6, 7, and 8, give our thoughts about it, and give it a rating at the end. We start with Teach or Corrupt, episode 6, written by Leslie Headland and Jocelyn Bio, directed by Hanel Culpepper. This released first week of July. Like this was July 4th week. So I think this is where I'm glad that things picked up. Just story wise. I know we were fumbling the first few episodes, but I think this is where things really got to a head. So we start with after the big battle in episode 5 where essentially Osha and May kind of switch. May went with
Mhm.
Soul, and then Osha was saved and taken by Kamir. We start with Osha waking up in an unknown planet where her wounds were dressed by Kamir, of course. Um, we see a little wake up, the usual wake up scene where the girl sees the guy swimming in the pool naked and seeing him buffed and shit like that. So that's pretty cool. We get to see Manny Jacinto in all of his glory.
Yeah,
Um,
baby.
yeah, Kimir kind of so they do a little conversation on why Kimir saved Osha, etc., etc. Kimir claims that it was the Jedi, or he was kind of a former Jedi who was betrayed by his master. So, uh,
Mhm.
uh, allusions towards the scar that we see Kimir have in his back, having little squiggles and whatnot, and then of course we're skipping a little bit, but we've seen how Venestra's lightsaber whip kind of
Light whip.
works. So that's
Mhm.
light whip kind of works. So that is kind of like the prevailing assumption. Uh, but the cool part about here is like Kimir was trying to draw a lot of parallels in Osha's past where hey, it's not me or it's not Kimir betraying you, it's not us, it's like the Jedi are the ones that kind of betrayed you, not telling you everything. And every time they come close and explaining what that is, there's some sort of other thing that happens. But um another cool part about this is we get a little bit more of an explanation of the cortosis helmet that Kimir has.
Mhm.
So it is now explained what it is. Again, it's cortosis helmet. It shorts lightsabers, but more importantly, it blocks any mental infiltration, kind of like Magneto's helmet.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mhm.
the cooler part about it too, it's from the inside, it tunes everything out. So essentially
Mhm.
you can't see anything, you
Just you and
can't
the
hear anything.
force.
Just
Mhm.
you, the force, and more importantly, what you bring in it. So that's
Mhm.
the cool part. We'll see a little bit in a different episode. We go back to Soul in his Jedi ship when he parked at Kofar. He wanted to contact the Jedi Council. Uh and then he wanted to give like a little partial message before losing his team, making it to Coruscant. So um Soul asks May to help fix the ship's power. This is where things kind of get weird because
Mhm.
you know, we do see that May
The
isn't
mechanic.
the tech, the mechanic, so he doesn't know, but he was able to kind of like just reignite Pip, and Pip can, like, his droid can
Evil
fix a
Pip.
whole bunch, but
Mhm.
by resetting Pip, which is kind of cool. So like so now we get to see that droids have like a factory reset. So that's cool. But what happened was uh she was attacked by Basil, and then, but again, she was able to overpower Basil, reset Pip, fix the power of the ship. But in the end, when they were kind of like about to leave for Coruscant or to get help, and for essentially May to tell tell Jedi everything that had happened, not only in that particular massacre, but 16 years ago, she was stunned by Soul.
Mhm.
So essentially, Soul knew that that wasn't Osha, it was May all along. So why not just stun her in the first place? But either way, um,
Mhm.
so Soul stuns May and then kind of like restrains her in the med bay. And then Venestra and a small, and when the message kind of like the incomplete message hits Venestra, she again forms a little band of Jedi's to investigate that message. They get to Brendok. Oh no, 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 Kofar, right?
Mhm.
Where the
Kalnaka.
Kalnaka, the Wiki Jedi is. They find the massacre. Um, uh they've kind of like seen everything that had happened.
Well,
uh
Vernestra sees what happened, knows what happened, but
yeah,
Mhm.
it's not telling others of what she
yeah,
sees.
so
Mhm.
at least on this episode we haven't really been given the complete lowdown on
Mhm.
that particular Jedi skill in which you can recreate what had happened in a place through the emotions that was spent there. So
Shit!
but again
Vin Diesel
uh,
did it in Fast. Fast was it? Fast 6?
uh, so the Vin Diesel Jedi trick, the forensic reconstruction of what had happened. But the cool thing about it, or like the kind of like note, unusually a lot of time was given, but um, Jedi Mog, which is Venestra's assistant, kind of was curious or suggesting that it might be Soul that did this, but like Soul wasn't powerful enough to kill so many. So
I
this
think
was
he
kind
was, dude. Soul's a
he was again. So
badass.
this was but
Mhm.
in the end, like this was kind of foreshadowing because we know that Soul didn't do this, but the mere
Vernestra
fact
knows
that
he didn't do it,
he didn't do it, but also like
but she
Jedi
didn't
Mog, it's like
didn't say
she
anything.
didn't
I still
correctly.
don't know how that guy became a Jedi.
Yeah,
With the, I don't think he has a backbone at all.
we talked
Nepo
about
baby.
this. Yeah,
Nepo
but we
baby.
talked about this in the past episodes where now that we're seeing more and more of the Jedi and how they operate, the bureaucracy that it operates in, there's probably like again Jedi's that are just like cooks, Jedi's that are just secretaries, so not all of them can be
Mhm.
like super cool like Soul. But um we cut back to the ship again with Soul and May, and when May wakes up, uh he was prepping to tell May everything that had happened on Brendog. So that is episode 6. Before we move to episode 7, any notes, takeaways on episode 6?
Nice to see the light whip. I wish we could have seen more.
Mhm.
I didn't
Mhm.
know that was
Agree.
a Night Sister thing then pala. Before,
Which one?
the
The
the light
The
whip.
light
lightsaber
whip?
whip?
Mm.
Oh.
Hmm.
I'm reading which is funny. I'm reading the Vernestra's book right now. It's like
Oh,
the
yeah,
third book or something of the High Republic. She's like
yeah.
she just became a Jedi Knight, and
Mhm.
it's she's
Right?
just a week from building the light whip, and she said that it's like she was scared. She was not scared, but she was apprehensive of showing a Padawan the light whip because it might confuse him because parang it's known that like the Night Sisters use it and stuff. But she defended it like, oh, before that, Jedi should also use it against the Sith. So she was being defensive like that. But yeah,
Whatever fits your style, right?
I wish we could see it more.
So in the book, Vanessa was super nice, right? She was
Yeah,
a
She
yeah,
hero.
was. Yeah,
yeah.
she
But
was.
the modifications for the light whip came to her from the Force. That's what she's saying.
Mhm.
Like she
Yeah,
had an
but
epiphany or something, and then she tinkered with it and was able to make the light whip. But yeah, so far she's nice.
Yeah, she apparently a prodigy. Like she was like a
Yeah, she
Jedi Knight by
like
12 or something like that.
13. Well, one of the youngest Jedi Knights.
Yeah.
well, again, huh? Some geniuses have some issues, but we move on to episode 7 choice. Written by Charmaine the Great, Jen Richards, and Jasmine Flournoy. Directed by Kogo Noda. So again, drawing more inspiration from Akira Kurosawa. Kogo Noda, also a Japanese director. We go back to kind of like the same time frame as we've had in episode 2. Um, Oh, sorry, episode 3, Destiny, when we were at Brendok 16 years prior. So we go back 16 years prior, where 4 Jedi discover a coven because they were investigating the virgins of the first in Brendok. So first, we knew about this planet that was supposed to be in a place where no life has formed. So whether it's either because of something happened, or this hyper force accident that happened that killed a lot of places in this area of space. So there were investigating Brendock first because again, there's lifeless around, but this was teeming with life. So there is a potential for a thing called a virgins. A virgins is where like there's just like a force place that happens, that there's a lot of force in that particular place. Um, we kind of like hop into the different timelines of what had happened, and then we see that the Jedi Council comes stemming from episode 3, deciding that the twins that Soul and the crew saved, May and Osha, are too old to be left in the coven. So they needed to kind of extricate them from the coven of witches. um uh uh they shouldn't extricate them from the coven of witches. So they found the kids were displaying force power, they're being cared for by this coven of witches. Soul and Trinity asks the Jedi Council for advice, and then they realize like, hey, they're too old, leave them with a coven. They should
Mm-hmm.
have, but they did not. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Soul was a little too young, a little too impulsive, felt that he needed to save the twins or the girls. So they went on spying. Because when Soul was observing the same event where May and Osha were playing near this poisonous tree, what Soul sees is Coral being a little bit more aggressive with the kids. So that's one. And then when Soul follows them back to their coven, they don't see, or at least Soul does not see all of the context behind that training. He
Mm-hmm.
just sees Coral stoking May's anger,
Attacking her or like
attacking her,
the Force.
essentially physically abusing her.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in terms of of the training, but again, it is training, it's not just because of
Mm-hmm.
nothing. So what happens here is also like we see another point of view of of May, where it was Coral who stokes May's anger over Osha's decision to be a Jedi, get tested, etc., etc. And then that is the inciting incident that accidentally starts a fire in their coven, right? So we go also back to the ship where the twins were tested. We see that the twins have very high M count, so that kind of
Mm-hmm.
they're force sensitive. So again, we're going back to the M counts again. But not only do they have a very high M count, they have the exact M count, the exact DNA. So
Mm-hmm.
essentially, the discussion here, in not so many words, it was indicated that these twins were artificially created out of a single consciousness, split into two. They're not twins; they're the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, possibly using the force to kind of like create them and then split into two.
Yeah.
So
This one kind of explains because in the previous episode, a lot of YouTubers or even people who review like how come Soul cannot determine which is which? Well,
Oh,
because
because
of that,
basically, yeah, they're
people just needed to be more patient because yeah, because it's a master
and
Jedi. Like,
even
this
so,
Jedi is not
that's
good. You
what
can
also the
really
dark side also does.
yeah.
there's also
Aside
that.
from that,
Plus, at that point too, Saul is already panicking.
oh
He's you
fuck,
know,
he's
yeah,
traumatized.
he's
He's
traumatized
PTSD.
and
Yeah,
yeah, and so it's everything's unraveling because if I don't know if you guys saw in the Clone Wars, Master Yoda even explained even the clones have different frequencies in the Force, basically. But this
That's cool.
one, the way they explained it, it is basically the same
The
frequency
same person.
between the same person between May and Osha. So that, like for me, that gave me the explanation of why Soul cannot determine who is who. And then Kaimir could have been able to determine it because maybe he's just more in tune with, you know, with how May thinks or something like that because of the training that he gave her. So
Yeah.
there's
But
that.
also, there was a tattoo when you picked up,
yeah.
Oh well, yeah. It
right?
also helps that
Yeah.
She
by
was
default,
she saw.
There's some a marking.
he saw OSHA's tattoo, and so there's also that. Yeah.
Yeah. So in middle of the episode, we get to see a little bit more acting on Torben's end. So,
Mm,
Torben eager to return to Coruscant. So there's like a lot of homesickness. He's a kid. That's kind of
mhm,
important. They are doing this mission where they don't know what they're doing. So he didn't know what was the purpose. He was just there being asked to scout, research, do shit. So we also see here. I like that little fireplace conversation because the different teaching styles of different Jedi's to their Padawan
mhm,
has plus and minuses. So
mhm,
Corbin feeling homesick. Um, Soul was the one who kind of like, hey, we're investigating this. We're investigating
mhm,
a virgins that is very important. So we're not just here banished. We're doing something that no other Jedi has done.
mhm,
While on the other hand, Indara Trinity has mentioned like, I was, hoping that he'd figure that out by himself.
mhm,
Like we don't have to spoon feed all of these things. They need to experience it at their own pace. But either way, now powered by that idea that they're looking for proof and that proof can bring them home, uh, Torben rushes to find that proof. And then the girls, having discovered that they are exactly the same and not clones, you know, is the proof that there is a virgins because they cannot be created by just simple science alone. There needs to be some virgins for something else. So he was the one who returns to the coven and tries to retrieve the girls. Just so supporting that particular effort with Indara and Kolnaka um trying to stop them or trying to follow what
mhm,
the council has mentioned that they're too old. Um so here, towards the end, uh, Torben and Soul gets to the place again, sees a lot of the end part of, does not see the entire context of the conversation of Ocean's mothers speaking to them. Um, and where we see is um
Even the ritual. Yeah.
yeah, not seeing the incomplete context of the ritual, but we see that a soul trying to, so Anisea wanting to save her kids, wanted again to move quickly, and in doing so she turned into this smoke cool monsters, smoke ghost.
Mm-hmm.
So she uses her power, but Soul not being familiar with what this is, thinking that it might be attacked, Soul inadvertently kills Anisea. Um, and then fighting starts. So another thing that the witches did was to possess Kelnaka, because Torben and Indara and Soul has already fortified their minds, but Kelnaka might have not. And they use Kelnaka to attack Torben, Soul, and this is where we also see where
Wookiee with the
the
flashlight.
the claw
Mm-hmm.
marks on Torben's face 16 years later came from. This was also a conversation in the interwebs, because apparently Wookiees using their claws is very,
Mm-hmm.
very holy. They're not
Mm-hmm.
supposed to do it. So a lot of people were quite upset that it was used. Not only it was not well, not only because it was used, but it was also used against Jedi. But again, he was
Mind control.
possessed, right? He was
Mhm.
possessed, and then probably the order was just like to use everything to kill these people. But in the end, Solon and Dara overpowers Kalnaka. Um, in stopping this kind of this is something that I want to ask you guys. So all of these witches were kind of in commune with each other, combining all their powers in one to not only uh possess Kalnaka, but kind of like help power the twins and protect the kids and whatever. But um when when Soul,
Indara.
oh,
Indar.
where Indar was able to kind of like sever the
Disconnect, yeah.
connection,
Never.
Mm-hmm.
Better term.
all the witches died. So that's
Mm-hmm.
where I think we kind of needed a little bit more help. We needed a little bit more context, where I know they're saying that many to one, right? That's the
Mm-hmm.
Covenant's thing. It's like everybody is pooling their process, but you know, is there not like a safety method where if you're saying that if one dies, everybody dies all at the same time?
Yeah.
So that
Well,
was still
yeah, but it's not
It's
significant.
a
I think
little
it's just like
it's a little callback to the Matrix, right? So when you get this, when you get unplugged in the
yeah.
real world, you
But
die in the
I think
Matrix,
ano
or when you die in the Matrix, the same thing. So
I think all they weren't as strong as the mother, so they
mm-hmm.
all had to connect each other and be able to control. So they're not as strong as the mother, and they're controlling somebody stronger than Torbin. So
Mm-hmm.
when it got severed, yeah, either this two things they could have sacrificed, knowing what they by possessing Kanaka, they were using up their life force, a la Luke in
Mm-hmm.
Last Jedi.
Mhm.
So they
Mm-hmm.
could have just they were just gonna sacrifice themselves for the twins. So whenever that ended, whether it was severed by Indara or just at the end, they would have dropped dead either way. Then uh they would have just died, or just cutting the connection to the force. You could see it that like if they set like sent their energy or their life force to Kelnaka and then they got cut, then it doesn't go back to their bodies. They just drop.
Mm-hmm. Could
There's
be
many
that.
Yeah,
other.
but
Or
There's
the thing
many
is,
other.
the thing is, they could have just been knocked out, but of course, the fire pretty much finished them
See,
off.
I think that's my
So
issue is none of this was even clarified or cleared. Like we just saw them when the connection was severed, everybody falls dead. So we
mhm.
didn't know that they were we didn't even know they were connected. So it's like so that's my one
Yeah,
complaint here. It's like it's very, very confusing because this is a big thing. It's a big thing.
yeah,
Like, did the Jedi know that if you sever one connection, you'll sever all? But
yeah.
also functionally, like
They
if
did. They wouldn't know. They didn't. They don't know
I
much
think
about
it's like,
those switches.
yeah, because the thing is, like, the Jedi know how to use the Force their way, but
Mm-hmm.
they're not familiar. Like, even with the Sith, they don't even know how the Sith, with the exception of using their emotions, how they tap into the Force. And all these other sects like the Night Sisters, or even we don't even know what these witches are called, because they never bothered to give them a name. But basically it's just not it's just a different way of using the Force that are, probably a mystery to the Jedi.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think like even just a little bit of recognition towards the end
yeah.
where it's like, hey, we didn't know that severing the connection would kill every fucking whatever. But either way, so that's what was the important thing that had happened. So that's what technically stunned and or killed all the other witches and not just the fire, right?
Mhm.
But we go back to to Soul trying to save main ocean.
Yeah.
Now
For
we
me,
see
kasi, just for me, I didn't think it was like of all the things that they did, it wasn't one of the major ones because at that point it was already self defense. They were already fighting for their
Mhm.
lives. So it's the
yeah, but
things.
Mhm.
technically this is the one.
It's more of the soul kicking things off with the stabbing
Yes.
of Mother Anisea. That
So
really,
though
that's the point of no return na eh. The other stuff, it's
that was
like
the exciting
consequential lang.
incident, and that's the most important thing that had happened. But if you look at it technically, Indara killed more witches in one go than
Yeah.
Soul, right? So
I
that's kind
no,
of like
that's what I'm saying. It's like at that point they had no choice. Soul had a choice. In Dara,
Mhm.
there's no choice. If they don't stop Kilnaka, they're
yeah,
dying.
yeah. But
Soul
so
is
that's
misunderstanding, or he. I still
no,
think it was a choice. He could have not.
it's totally self-defense. It's totally self-defense, and it's totally it's the only thing that the Jedi could have done to protect themselves, right? To try to stop Kilnaka's possession, right? Question now is like, had they known that killing the other mom, not Anisea, right? Stop severing that connection will also kill all the coven of witches. Would that have been the same thing that they would have done? You know,
Yeah,
did
but
they know that that was the case, right? So that's why
I
it's
like
very
Arnie said,
confusing.
we probably assumptions they didn't know.
Yeah, they
That's
didn't
why
know,
Indara
and
was. I think that's why Indara was shocked after that. I think she felt it.
exact.
Yeah.
We didn't know too, and we still don't know why that is. So that's kind of like the minor complaint on for me on this particular episode. Because again, I like the idea that the different perspectives was cool. And then but we end the episode where Soul again there was like a severed bridge, May on one hand, Osha on the other side. They were trying to get to each other. Soul was trying to save them both by holding the bridge together as long as he can, but he couldn't. And then he chose
Mhm.
on who to save, and he chose Osha to kind
Mhm.
of like force save, and then Maeve presumably falling to her death, Osha being caught by Soul, and that's where we have this nice end cap of an episode where again this is kind of like what explains the 16 years of secrets that these four Jedis had to live through and why they were being hunted by me in the first place because in the end, uh, Soul wanted to come out clean, not only to the Jedi Council on what had happened, but also to Osha. And it was
Mhm.
Indara who mentioned, like, hey, do you want to? Not only did you kill everybody that she loves, you also want to kill her dream. So again, it kind of justifiable, right? But either way, this wasn't just a
Very gray.
singular
I love
soul
it. Very,
right?
very debatable. So you
Yeah.
Mhm.
you can go to either side.
And the good thing
So,
here is like we really can't put all of the blame on a singular one of these four Jedi.
yes.
Like each
I
one of
love
them had
I just love the layers. Like
Yeah.
you can't blame all of it on Soul. I mean, he did see some stuff that really made him worry, but it was
Mhm.
exacerbated by his need for connection, for a
Yep.
Padawan,
A
and
Padawan.
and Osha.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
think the Jedi that got screwed the most was Kelnaka. I just like I was
That's
just
true.
here. I was just here cooking, birds. I was just here
he was a
collecting
knight, right?
grass.
At that point, only Dara was the
Yeah,
master in the.
only there's the master. And the thing is, Kelnaka was just like, he was just doing his job, and then this Padawan just became impulsive, and then
So
and Soul was like pretty much trying to justify taking away kids. And then he gets mind controlled, and then now he's responsible for scarring Torben, and then of course
Yep.
because he was freed by Endara in the one aspect, he also became responsible for killing all those witches.
All the cover. Yeah, that's the thing. If
Yeah,
he fortified his mind, then he wouldn't have
yeah,
been possessed,
yeah.
and then all those twists would have been again.
Yeah, and the thing is, like in the end, he didn't even have an opinion. Like nobody asked him what to do. He's just like
well,
he got like 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 just because he's the Wookiee, nobody asked him, and then, like yeah, he got screwed. And the thing is, like on the top down, objectively speaking, he should have survived because Kyrie was like, well, yeah, he didn't really do much. You just got used, but this is the deal I made with May, so whatever.
Yeah, it's but that's like you're every single one of them had kind of like same but different touches on
Yeah,
how they killed all of those things,
like
and then they were again. That's the reason why they were all equally kind of like responsible for what had happened.
yeah, like
uh,
in the crime, he's basically the getaway driver, the mini driver.
unknowingly the Great Away driver. Like he was
Unknowingly he
just
became
text, bro, let's meet here, and then suddenly, run, run, run! What the-
exactly. So yeah,
But
so he got screwed.
I just love this situation because it's like what's the term for that? Like it's such a fascinating situation because you have these two groups that don't know a lot about each other and a lot of
Hmm.
miscommunication and a lot of
Hmm.
fear ending
Hmm.
up with a mutual destruction in a sense. So it's like
Yeah,
I really like that part of the layering of the story. Like
Yeah,
nobody
yeah,
was
we
really
we see
wrong in a
we
sense.
see that everybody in the series have
yeah.
good points, have bad points.
Hmm.
Like Jedi wants to help, but they're technically kidnapping kids, which just want to just live their life, but they're also technically making artificial life. Like everybody has a light
Yeah.
and dark side.
Hmm.
And again, you're right. It's a very, very layered story. And I think that's
There's
cool.
a lot of new ones. There's a lot of new ones in the like again, if you're looking at this story objectively speaking, both sides, the Jedi and the witches, and even Chimera has their own from a certain point of view, correct
Yeah, yeah. Even
Yeah,
correct
I mean,
ways of
yeah.
thinking, right?
He just wants
we don't even
he
know
just
what
wants to
happened if
do.
what if Vernestra was the one that fucked him up
Yeah.
Hey, it
before he
could
became. I
be.
mean, not the physical part. I mean, obviously she's the one that whipped him, but I mean, what if he turned to the dark side because of her? You know, she did. He
Yeah,
did. He didn't get whipped because he turned to the dark side. He turned to the dark side because of her. So we'll see. We don't know.
yeah.
He just wanted to live. He just wanted to
Like
um
he just wants freedom, right?
yeah.
But
Uh
anyways, yeah. So
last episode
maybe he kept skinny dipping, and Bernacious does not appreciate that or something like that.
last episode is episode 8, The Acolyte, written by Jason McAuliffe, directed by Hanel Culpepper again. We start off with Saul taking May to Brendok, and then he sends their location back to the Jedi. So they just wants to
Mhm.
get everything cleared out. That's what Soul wants to do, but also wants to find Osha and wants to stop Chimere. So that's kind of
Mhm.
like everything that they wanted to do there. Um, we also start with Osha having a vision of May as he
Mhm.
uses the as she uses the Cortosis helmet. Um, and
It's hearkening to Anakin having all those forced dreams, right?
again, it's
Of
That
what
he
you
thought
bring
Padme.
to it.
he
Of
thought somebody
Padme.
is going. He thought somebody's gonna kill Padme, and that somebody turned out to be him.
Yeah.
So,
And again, this is where Osha and Chimere makes so the entire time Chimere was trying to convince Osha to learn her
mhm.
skills, figure out how powerful she was. Like, you don't know how powerful you are, you need to learn. Be my apprentice. Osha doesn't agree, but they do agree that they do need to save or help May. So their cool agreement. This is another fun agreement too. It's like, all right,
Mm.
let's help each other. Let's agree. Let's lead May to us, or like Osha will
Mhm.
lead May to her. Agree to help her, and then whoever gets to her first, let's figure that
Wins.
out.
Mhm.
That's a cool way. Of like, all right,
And I
you're
love
here.
how they highlighted that he has his honor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Kimir, yeah. Like you follow the
Uh,
deal. You're
yeah.
following you
So
have a
he always has
code.
deals. Again, he just wants to learn his shit and wants to have a student. But as we kind of like pan out after Osha and Kimir uh solidifies their agreement, we see this like mysterious figure watching them part. It's Dark Plagueis. I don't know a lot
Mhm.
about them, but again, it's very important person in the creation of the Sith, etc., etc. Referenced by Palpatine in no, the second Phantom Menace, right?
No,
So
So
Revenge of
uh
the Sith.
Revenge of
E-
the Sith, there second there.
Episode 3, yeah.
Um so
Yeah.
and then we cut back to Coruscant. Venestra
and
is told
just
by
a comment, like I saw this, one of the Star Wars trolls, Star Wars theory ba yun, yung guy?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
complaining that, oh, we see Plagueis, like the in that yung basta his scene is like complaining that that was his scene. That's how you show Plagueis. That's how you're supposed to show Plagueis. Like I saw the interview with Leslie Head. How's was her name?
Headland.
Headland's
Headland, yeah.
like, he's supposed to be fucking creepy. He's not like
Yeah,
Plagueis was never like the powerful um throne kind of guy. He's like the creepy hiding,
yeah.
trying to survive.
I mean,
Like, oh my
if
god,
you're going
people
to
are really
imagine,
fucking
if
trolls.
you're going to imagine a Sith master that created Palpatine, that's
Probably
basically what it
slimy,
is. It's
right? Slimy, creepy,
slimy,
like
creepy,
fucking hiding.
works in the shadows, not very showy, right? But yeah, that
No,
dude.
I am
Yeah.
loving the memes. Like, there's like a meme where Osha and Kumir are in bed sleeping together, and then
Mm,
suddenly
Is
Osha wakes
watching.
up, and then Kumir's
mm.
in. I then Plague is just like in the ref getting milk. Oh, did I disturb you? That's just
That
funny
is true.
shit.
No,
I'm
it's
like,
cool.
Yeah.
But again, this is one of those things where I appreciate the cameo, but
Mm,
I don't think it's deserved because again, not a lot of people know Plagueis, and then you're just like putting a weird guy in the background with
mhm.
no context and no payoff, and possibly until the second season. So
Yeah.
that
Uh,
is
I'm okay with
big
it.
risk.
for me, I mean,
Even because even if there's no
if
second season, we know now who's operating at this time. Eh, it's
yeah,
Plagueis. So
Yeah,
yeah,
just
but that's
showing
the
him
other thing too.
showing him, it's not really more of like showing more of him. It's just like an Easter egg. Like, we know
yeah.
No,
he
It's an Easter egg for those who know, and the thing is, it's also could be like a seed of a different spin-off, right? Because if we remember, like, because I also watched the animation series. It used to be like there was like a Tales of the Jedi, and then it became Tales of the Empire. So for me, maybe season 2 of the Acolyte might not even be related to this cast of characters. It could just be
Yeah, it
like,
might
oh, the
be 10,
Acolyte.
20 years later. Yeah.
It could be the Acolyte. Oh, Plagueis or something like that, or even more of Chimera, which I really hope more of Chimera, because
The
especially
the the thing that they were
yeah,
trying to get at is like there was somebody else
pulling the
manipulating
strings.
Camille,
Yeah.
yeah, and then that would be the mysterious figure. But again, because it was a cameo,
Hmm.
like you don't put you didn't, apart from Soul saying like who is controlling you in their fight scenes before, it's like who's your master, etc., etc. Um, again, there's not a lot, but again, it's one of those things where I at least I appreciate the attempt. Like
Yeah.
you put like a very important figure in your story means that there's a possibility that it can be unfurled in the future. Hopefully there is, but
Mm.
um we also see Vanessa being spoken to by Senator Raincourt.
Oh yeah,
That
John
that
Jones.
yeah that they are, or the Senate is growing weary of the Jedi and their secrets because they're hearing things about this investigation, but they're not being told to, etc., etc. So this is kind of like a cool explanation. Like, hey, everybody has somebody else to that kind of like approves all their shit, right?
Mhm.
So the Jedi is also answering to the Senate, and then those are technically the boss, and they need to get good performance
He
reports.
was foul. He was
Mm.
cooking here. Everything he
Yeah,
said
he
was
was great.
like fucking right.
Um,
Yeah,
so
one day one of you will snap. Well, yeah, one person did snap, and nobody
we
was strong enough to stop him at that time. So yeah.
it's also a great setup too. But like, all right, fuck, Vanessa needs to find an explanation about all of these things that
Which
happened,
I
which is
think we're getting ahead of ourselves, but she miscalculated in the end. But we'll get to that.
well, or did she? That's a good decision at
She,
the end. But
we'll discuss that later.
yeah.
Mhm.
So we return back to the Witch's Fortress. So essentially, this is essentially where everything started. Now, where everything will end. Um, in the Witch's Fortress, Osha and Kimir get there. Kimir kind of disappears when she senses a little bit of something, something. And then Osha was able to fix the elevator to get in. Osha confronts May, and then Soul and Kimir fight in the ruins.
Mm.
Again,
Mm.
super
That's the
awesome fight.
yeah.
Cool, like
God
best
damn.
fight scene, best um s- uh lightsaber fight I've ever seen in any Star Wars property. Period.
Mhm.
Um,
The
because
story beats. That's how you know the action is good, when there's story beats that make sense and connect from the to the past. And
Mhm.
it's not overly complicated, it's not overly flashy, but it makes sense. There's hand
Mhm.
to hand combat that
Mhm.
makes sense. There's a
Mhm.
lot of force tricks that we've never seen in TV before. We've seen in games like
Mhm.
the boomerang lightsabers,
Mhm.
using two lightsabers, using one lightsaber. So a lot of switch ups that looks really really cool. And um
And the anime Samurai X. Zing.
super cool.
Final
Um,
blow.
the
Yeah.
one thing that everybody I think universally loved is when I know towards the end, or we're gonna skip the fight scene, just watch it because it's awesome. But it was ended by two cool moves. One move is when Kimir threw both of his lightsabers as boomerangs,
Mm.
thinking that it will loop back and catch Soul unguarded, but Soul did the super shield,
I
like the
think it's
force
like
shield.
false repulse or something. That's what the term
Yeah,
I saw.
which is
Mm.
repelled the lightsabers back, but also threw Kimir back. Cool
I love
move.
the shot
And
because the balls like getting attacked on three sides. And what does he do?
Mm.
He he sheathes his lightsaber. Fucking the
yeah,
balls on
right.
him,
That
motherfucker.
yeah. So so again, what awesome move. That's one of my favorite moves. But also, um, the thing that all fanboys and fangirls in the world always say during lightsaber fights is what? Just fucking slice the lightsaber. right?
Mhm.
It's always like it's again. There's a lot of explanations why it's not that easy to fucking slice off a lightsaber, right? The hilt to turn the thing off.
Mhm.
But
He did that
finally we did
too.
like
I love that part where he's gonna headbutt it and he turned it off
mm.
so that it wouldn't hit the
So
Cortosis helmet.
small
Small
touches
detail.
like that. It's like now we know that, and it's good because usually we're so used to sword fights when you're pushing down
Mhm.
on your enemy, right? This
Mhm.
one, Chimera was trying to
Push
pull the
it.
lightsaber to the helmet. Cool effects, right? We
Mhm.
see those like small sparks being absorbed by the Cortosis helmet. Cool, but knowing that touching the Cortosis helmet will short the kyber crystal in your shield,
Mhm.
so
Turns it
smartly
off.
turns it off, right? And then the final showdown is the literally Samurai X one swing with each other move.
Yeah.
And then we see that um Soul was able to chop off the top part of uh Soul's Kimir's lightsaber, right? So
Mm.
the what do you call this? The illegal move
Mm.
was finally done, and then they win. But this is where um May stops everything and then
Mhm.
one just wants, or like May was stopping Soul on killing Kimir, and then Kimir's so kind of like essentially decides that he needs to answer for his crimes instead of killing.
Mhm.
But May wanted something more. May wanted Soul to admit through everything that had happened. Eventually he does. Of course, as per usual, Osha was in the background, overhearing everything. And then she this is the cool part too. She gets really upset what about Soul's confession about everything, about him killing his mom, about him not saving May. Everything in context too, which is cool because like everybody knows like, killing the mom was an accident. He wants to protect them. Not saving May was also an accident. He just couldn't. He
Mhm.
chose OSHA, etc., etc. But for his confession, OSHA force chokes uh, Soul to death
I have to
with
confess, I was of all the times that Kimir said to kill without a weapon, never crossed my mind. I have to confess,
Yeah. Force
never crossed my
choke.
mind. I was talking about force choke. It was so
smart,
obvious.
right? Smart.
Okay,
Yeah.
But the difference about here too is with Soul's permission, right?
Mhm.
alright.
Like Soul said, like it's okay, right? Like he kind of deserved it, but also if that's what me
He did.
Ocean needed to survive,
Osha, yeah.
he did. So that was great.
And we got the bleeding of
Uh
the crystal.
the
Mm.
Jedi
Yeah.
people arrive, so everybody needed to
No,
escape.
but wait, that's
Uh
the big thing there, the bleeding of the crystal. Because
oh,
Oh,
so that's the
interesting.
other.
Yeah.
a lot of fucking trolls are like, why did Anakin's crystal turn red when he attacked the young
Uh,
fuckers? God damn it.
because back then George Lucas has never thought about it
No,
yet. You
and aside from that,
idiots.
in canon wise, you have to be touching the crystal. That's
Yeah.
why they did that bit where the crystal poked out. Because
Yeah.
you have to have skin to the crystal
Yeah.
connection,
The comic
all
books explained it, but
yeah,
of
which
course
also
they're like
happened in
they just like the troll.
Jedi Survivor
Yeah, and even
in the
Ahsoka,
game.
she explained it too that she had to
Like, oh my
purify the
god.
crystals. That's why it's white. But trolls go to trolls. So
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be a complaint in everything. I mean, like
Stupid.
again,
It's like
some people won't like it. Most people, I think, universally, it was kind of like cool, right,
hmm
to see how I know even like the term bleeding the Kuiper crystal is very, very fanboy. So it's very, very discriminatory to the people that actually don't know what's happening. In the end, it's just cool that the lightsaber changed colors.
agreed.
turn red. Yeah,
More like it's also, yeah, storytelling wise, it shows what the insides of the person is. So that's,
yeah,
even if you didn't know anything about the rules about what is happening,
yeah,
everybody understood, like, one, it looked cool. Two, you bad now.
yeah, yeah. Because
You
even
you're
like in
angry now.
Like in the original trilogy, we just saw blue, green, and red.
Mhm.
And then now, because of KOTOR, and even Mace Windu, he got purple, right?
Purple. No, I
Uh,
mean, like, we just never, again, we all, even the creation of a lightsaber wasn't really explained until
yeah,
way after. So
yeah.
not
Plus,
even
yeah,
not a lot of people that know about the Kuiper crystal at all, right? So
yeah, yeah.
in the end, it's still, it visually and symbolically
It was
represents.
cool. Yeah, it was cool.
Um,
Yeah. So there's, it's just a
so
matter of gatekeeping. It's a
yeah,
lot of gatekeeping from the trolls, because but at the very least, for the layman or for the very casual fans, it's just to explain that how come the Sith or the bad guys only have one color. That's
exactly,
why.
right?
That's why.
Yeah, so it's not just like you go to a shop and pick a red saber if you're
Yeah,
bad, a blue or green saber if you're good. No, it's like,
that's only in Disney.
yeah.
You can
So
just go and pick a
um,
red.
so, we now see the Jedi arrive, the investigators
The
along with,
slowest Jedi investigators
yeah,
ever, but
yeah,
okay.
the Venestra and his group of Jedi. They discover Soul's body. Again, Venestra does her magic on kind of like reconstructing not only what had happened during the fight there, but also what had happened 16 years ago. A cool little moment where Venestra, upon arriving, senses something,
Upon stepping on the
becomes very,
planet.
very scared, and then
Mhm,
says like, "Oh, you're still alive." And then Kimir putting on the Magneto helmet. So
mhm,
we kind of can safely assume they have a history, possibly Venestra's Padawan, etc., etc. But Kimir putting on the Magneto helmet was able to disappear. We go back to May and Osha. They reconcile. They talk about all of the shit. They talk about how are they going to escape the Jedi. They were always going to find them. They May and Osha uses what May uses to escape, like go through the tunnels, and then get to the tree where May waited for Osha, but Osha never came because Osha was taken by the Jedi,
Eh,
etc., etc.
I don't know if it was intentional, but the way she survived falling in the flashback was a little like Luke, right? In
mhm.
Empire.
Yep. Mhm.
Getting sucked
In
in the
the in
hole.
Yeah. Um, and this is which is a good kind of good and weird thing about it for me is like when would they hit the poisonous tree and they know that the Jedi sense them and then there will be coming back to them. They also have Basil as a tracker to find them.
Mhm.
May and Osha starts kind of reconciling and starts planning out how are they going to escape, but they know that they're not going to get escape. They're always going to be hunted down by the Jedi. So I did not think about this, but after thinking about it, it's like I don't. Yeah, this is a cool ending, I think. So, um, um, Kimir appears saying that the only way that they could escape is if they come with him. But the problem, this is another. I hope that they clarify it a little bit. He was only going to take one. So again, if you're casual, you don't understand that there's only going to be like one master and one apprentice,
Rule
right?
of
You can't
two.
get two. So even if we are familiar with that, it wasn't like clearly mentioned as like, hey, I'm
I
only
think
taking
it's
one of
also
y'all.
because he has his honor and May fucked that up already.
True. Yeah.
It's like
Um,
she's gonna learn teach her
right. So
again.
essentially Kimir was saying that, Osha can go with Kimir, right? All right, cool. And
I
then
love
so
that
they
line where May says, "What do you want?" for the first time.
yeah.
Mhm.
So that's the antithesis of what had happened in episode 1 and 2
Yeah.
on the actual they think that they have a choice, but it's not actually their choice. This is the actual choice. It's like May was saying like whatever Osha thinks we'll find a way. Like we can run away. Like they said, like they
Mhm.
can both just run away, but they will be always hunted by the Jedi, or you can go with train with Kimir, right? And then when that option came up, Kimir mentioned like, I can force wipe May's memory so that any trace of May
Us.
and Kimir is erased, because they could always find a way to um use May against them. And then that was kind of the deal. The deal was May leaves scot-free, not harmed by Kimir. He's going Osha will train with Kimir, and then May's memory will be wiped. And then that's what had happened. So we end the episode with Venestra using Soul as the reason
Mhm.
to kind of cover up all of the things that had happened. So she
Which I think
explains
was the
that.
wrong plan. Because
Mhm.
it was exactly what the senator was planning, wanted. I was saying.
Mm.
But I
Mhm.
think I'm not sure, but it to me it looked like she was covering her own ass over the Jedi, right?
Yeah.
So
Like,
Yeah.
I have my thing, and I also have heard it in some podcasts too, that um uh, it wasn't shown in this season, but we stand to believe that Vanessa was part of the cover up from the start. So she
Mhm.
was part of it from the very, very beginning, ever since May Osha got to the Jedi school, and then they have this like weird bunch of dead covens dead witches at the place. So
Yeah.
in my head, Venestra has always known that this was gonna happen, and she was gonna have to cover her ass at some point, and in the end, just pass the buck to.
no, for me it's not that. For me, my interpretation is she wasn't part of it, but she can't say there's a Sith. Not because it's bad for
Yep,
the Order, it's bad for her because that Sith is her
is
former
her. Yeah,
Padawan.
another one too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Right. So maybe so again, we're going ahead, but again, so Venestra uses Soul as the patsy, essentially saying that, hey, there was this rogue
Jedi.
Jedi
Mhm.
that uh killed a bunch of witches back in the day, and then covered that up by killing the other Jedi
Well,
that
he
was
said there was an accident, or there was a
there was
there was like
Conflict. A
conflict
conflict. Yeah.
that led
a
to the deaths,
conflict
and then
led to the
covering it
deaths of
up.
a bunch of witches, and then the people that knew about this, or the other Jedi, was killed, and then Soul committed suicide. Right. So that's why I was wondering what Venestra was in your books, because this is ruthless.
So
Mhm.
I'm only like halfway, and there's like an incident. So far she's like the typical good Jedi. So I don't know. Let's see if it's gonna change by the end. But so far she's
Yeah.
pretty up and up.
I think in the phase three of those books, it will probably explain why she's more, because in the book that you're reading, from what I've heard, is she's very optimistic,
Yeah, she's
very,
still young. She just made
yeah.
Padawan. She just made
So
Jedi Knight. So
so something must have happened that caused her to
fucks her up.
produce a chimere, to be quite honest, for one, and then to be like, oh, even though I could see the truth, I'm not gonna tell everybody else, because that power is very subjective to the honor of the person who's seeing that power, right? Because like, let's say if Jong, if I had that power and then I told Jong, oh, Jong, this is what happened. Jong will really have to get trust my word that it's, yeah, that's what really happened because Arnie saw it.
Or
But in my
do
mind,
the others even know that she has that power? We don't
or
know,
that, or
right?
that
Because
too.
her Padawan was like doesn't I know. Did they ask like what do you see? No, I don't think like
Yeah,
from the he didn't know that she had visions or
yeah.
something like that.
But even then, like, for like, if the let's say if you have to register your powers, just like in Incredibles or X-Men or something like that, you really have to trust that person. That, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Arnold said that's what happened. That's what happened, and so that's why in that Senate scene, she just like, yeah, this is what happened, and we uncovered it, and unfortunately for us, this guy was filled with guilt, so he killed himself. Like, yeah, he force choked himself. Okay, cool.
Or maybe
I mean,
committed seppuku, right? But
yeah,
it is a
Well,
it is
she
a
burned the body, so there's a
well,
lot of
yep.
that's
safe.
true. See, there's that too. It's in accordance to tradition of Jedi funerals. That's why she knows that. So yeah, the body is no more evidence that he was force choked. Because that's a dark side power, right? So for all we know, the Jedi of this era does not even know what a force choke is. So yeah, it's just that's a lot of trust that this Jedi Master is in the up and up, and even if you look at Soul in Episode 1 when he was training all those Padawans or the younglings, who would have thought that this guy killed a witch? Nope, nobody knows, right? So it's like so yeah, that's why like I also saw in a podcast like this is like the path to where the Jedi and the Senate are just basically
It's
intertwined,
all
and then
fucking Yoda's fault. This all happened
well,
under his watch.
so there's that too, and then Count Dooku also said that you can't be a leader of some group for that long without being corrupted, without being complacent, and that's also one of the reasons why he
He
turned
left.
from.
Yeah.
That's why he left.
And I think I saw
So
somewhere, was it on Twitter, where at the end of, I haven't seen it, but like the final season of the Clone Wars, Yoda
mhm.
admitted that he knew about the clones and he kept secret about it.
Yeah,
Like
he
the
knew that there
creation of the
was
clones. I mean,
yeah
he knew from the start.
that there's something fishy. Like
No, I think
we
the, well, I don't know if it's accurate, but the one I read is like he knew from the start about the creation of the clones and he just kept it secret because he knew he was
yeah,
gonna
I
use it.
mean
Well, but again, we've already established the past, what, 15, 20 years that Yoda is the suckiest master of all the entire place. I was like, he's just like the dumbest.
It's like fucking shit.
well, we'll put it this way. Okay, there was an army ordered. Wait, the council didn't approve that, but we do need an army. So yeah, sure, let's use it.
Yeah.
They used a bounty hunter to do. Oh, you know what? Why not? They're probably good warriors.
No,
Yeah,
but
but
everything, because at the height of the High Republic, Yoda was already a Grandmaster. So
Yeah,
everything that happens
exactly.
after is under his fucking watch.
Yes, exactly. And then yeah, that's why
And
Kiarimo
everybody's up in
he
arms for, oh, no, no Sith, no Sith. See? It's like almost like they knew what they were writing. like they were
yeah
gonna hide it out because, like, fucking shit.
they killed everybody who knew. And to be quite honest, like Kyber just said, well, in your language, I'll be a Sith, but am I? Am I really a Sith?
Yeah.
Am I? Am I? Am
You
I?
call me Sith. I didn't call
Yeah,
myself a Sith. Right?
exactly. I identify as unknown.
Mhm.
And
So,
I also love that, like, one of this, the guy I like for, on YouTube, his channel is like Kyle Katarn.
oh
He
yeah,
said,
Calcatar.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
he said one of his tweets resonated with him. Is like, it's, I don't know if he said sad or disappointing, or no, it's something like, it's so sad that Soul is one who is one of the, probably one of the most distinguished duelists in Jedi
Hmm.
history, will go down as a rogue Jedi
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Hmm.
killing Jedi, even his own Padawan Jeki, diba? And Yord, like,
Yeah,
that's what he'll go down with. Not as one of the most. I mean, I'm betting like Soul was a master, diba?
yeah. He's a Jedi
Like
Yeah.
Master.
siguro if you, most of, say siguro 75% of those masters would have fallen to Khmer, except Soul
Hmm.
was like one of the most badass ones.
Well, I
So
Yeah,
mean, that kind of proves his skill too, right? I
yeah,
mean,
like,
to
yeah.
be able to kill that many and
and
beat Khmer, who beat those, who technically killed those.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I
so
mean, it's which is again talking about Dooku. He's also one of the best duelists of his generation. Uh, and then only matched by Anakin, who's also one of the best duelists of of that generation as well.
but
So it's just like,
and not, we haven't even mentioned the acting of Soul, especially in the
oh,
episode 6. Oh my god.
I mean, come on.
Having a shot like that, like, was that 30 seconds of no dialogue with him just
Mm,
staring at the thing that was trying to repair and just breaking down.
mhm.
So
And the
good.
thing is, like I said, he and Manny Jacinto carried
Well,
this show. They could have given Carrie Ann Moss more to do so that she could also carry the show, but that's one of the writing things
And
that I complain about. But it's okay.
I mean,
That's
you
how
I think
it
can't
is.
have
everybody
you
had a
can't
good
have
role.
yeah. If you're gonna
They
give Soul
probably
the main,
yeah yeah they
there's
probably couldn't
nothing.
afford maybe Carrie
Yeah.
Ann Moss said I only have a week to
No,
shoot.
and this way we had Soul. If we're not gonna get
Yeah,
Soul if we make Indara main as well. So
yeah,
Yeah. I
but
think
yeah,
it's great, but we end
yeah.
the series with Venestra caring for May, realizing that May's last memories were from when she was 8 years old.
Hmm.
Um, so Venestra kind of in not so many words, kind of like tells about the story about his former apprentice that has turned rogue, and so now she wants to use May to find his apprentice Kimir now, and then this amnesiac will be helping him find that, because in that way we can find our sister as well.
Hmm.
We have a kind of like start of credits stinger where Venestra reports to this dumb Jedi Master. Well, again, I everybody knows that it is Yoda, but in the end, there's plenty of gray-haired, tiny little green aliens.
It
Never
could be
know, but
yeah,
Yaddle,
he is the
Master
Grandmaster.
Yaddle.
He is the
yeah.
Grandmaster
Yeah, so but
from the start.
Venetia
Yeah.
was reporting to Yoda here. So maybe this is like, when Venetia kind of mentions like the Sith is alive and well, and I inadvertently restarted
Yeah,
the Sith because I abused my apprentice and
yeah,
whipped him. But
yeah. Because even in episode three, or when was it? That Yoda and Mace Windu were talking about, you know, the Sith is like always two. I think episode one during Qui Gon's
Randomly.
funeral. They're like, yeah, there's always one. There's always one. There's always two: the
Was this
master or
the
the
master?
apprentice.
Yeah, was this the master or the apprentice?
So Venestra, as far as she knows, there's one Sith, but she doesn't know if it's the master or the apprentice. We know there's because there's Darth Plagueis, but they don't know, So now she's just assuming that because
And
now she.
as the two of us know, they're never gonna get Plagueis
Oh no, they're not gonna
because
get
Plague is
Plagueis because
killed by Skeev, who is
yeah,
Palpatine.
by Sheev, yeah,
in in
Sheev
Sheev pala
Palpatine, yeah,
Sheev.
yeah.
by poison in his sleep. So
Fuck.
either he's super duper powerful or super duper weak.
Isn't it
The
ironic?
immortal Plagueis killed in his
Isn't
sleep.
it ironic? Don't
Right?
you
But
think?
I think that's how we do. But that is how
Yeah.
we end the season. I mean, most likely there's gonna be a second season, but again, it's not been announced. I've only heard one season, but again, it's not a runaway hit, so we're not gonna, it's not kind of like
I think the
assured
numbers
a sequel. So we'll
are
see.
hits. Diba? Saying it's a hit.
It's a
It's
hit,
not.
and the thing is like, and even the negative trolley behavior of the
help it,
trolls,
right?
just the engagement of it.
Yeah, I think it
Disney
helps.
knows. Disney
Yeah,
knows like,
but
oh,
this is
not
not kind of like,
yeah,
even like Cobra Kai or other episodes that it was like you cannot not make a second season.
yeah,
I
Oh
am
yeah, yeah,
sure if Disney makes, again, their stocks are plummeting the past couple of years. If they need to belt tighten, I'm not sure that they're going to save this. But again, they have good bones here. I think a little bit more
yeah,
of just a little bit more. And again, I've been kind of rewatching it again. I much like it when I watch the episodes one after the other. I'm much
yeah. This show could have benefited either like releasing 2 to 3 episodes at a time
yeah.
or the full binge.
Yep.
Because the fans today or the viewers today, they're not as patient as we were during Lost or during the episodic weekly era that we just have to get everything because had people just waited until the final episode because I've seen some reactors are like, well, I don't care. We haven't built an attachment to these characters. We don't understand their behavior. Well, the last episode explained it, or the sixth episode explained it, and they're like, oh, so now we know. So now in the rewatch, we will care more about Soul. We'll
No,
care more
and you
about
guys know me. I watch a lot of reacts. I can instantly
yeah.
tell if somebody's like coming in with a negative, with a
Hmm.
negative mindset. Like, oh, come on, man. Like, because I've seen
Yeah,
reactors that I like that uh aren't as as high into this as we are, and that's okay for me. It's those that
Yeah.
like come in first scene and everything's negative already. Everything's dark. Like, come on, man.
I mean,
I've adopted this JJ Redick term called engagement farming, and it's a lot of people.
yeah.
It's a lot more. It's a lot easier to just this is actually a new trick in both YouTube and TikTok.
Hmm.
People will put in incorrect pronunciations, typos,
Hmm.
because people will engage those. Like if
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something like dumb, people will laugh at that, but they will leave a comment and they will click, and
Hmm.
that's what makes those jumpers. Like I've been starting to mute a lot of these um obviously engagement farming
Yeah.
accounts and sites, like incorrect rumors, or just saying how how racist or sexist these shows are, or how left or right these, so it doesn't
Hmm.
matter anymore. In the end, we have our own point of view about the shows, and we kind of enjoy. It's not the best, we're not kind of like fawning over it, but
Oh yeah. No. No. No.
it's fun.
Yeah.
Let's close this episode out with our ratings. Chubax,
I'll go with a high 8,
hey,
close to 9. Yeah,
Arnie.
really enjoyed it.
I'll go with an eight. It was carried by Soul and Chimere and the lightsaber battles.
Yep.
Uh, like I said, it's not perfect. There's some like the episode three of the season was just like basically the threshold of Star Wars. For people who watched Voyager or watched Star Trek, they had this like worst episode ever. I would say episode three of this season is that for Star Wars. But after episode six and seven, so no, seven and eight, yeah, I mean, it gave more context to why the Jedi acted the same way. And even then, when they announced the show, they did say that it's not the Jedi who's the main character, like they're actually not the main characters. It's the acolytes for
Yeah, I mean
supposed to be the Sith.
the selling point of it was the reason why they wanted it a little bit farther off in the distance is that
Yeah,
it's an enclosed story.
yeah,
So I think they succeeded there.
yeah. So
Um,
it's an eight for me. It's an
yeah.
eight for me.
I'm giving it an 8-2. Again, a lot of it is because uh awesome action, awesome in episode storytelling. Maybe
Mm,
next, if they can just like dumb this down a lot more, just monster of the week, good action stuff, I think I would have enjoyed it. But I really do like the attempt of, again, different styles of storytelling, different perspectives, different point of view. And what Chubax have discussed, and I discussed earlier here, is yeah, well balanced. Like everybody has everybody fucked up equally,
mhm,
everybody tried to save everything equally,
mhm,
and everybody did their own thing equally. So so it's like nice. All right. Yeah.
mhm,
No
mhm.
clear good, no clear bad guy, or everybody's a bad guy, or everybody's a good guy, depending how I see it. But that's it for our episode. Thank you very much for watching. And again, we have more shows and more movies that we'll be discussing in the next couple of weeks. So please stay tuned. On behalf of Chubax and Arnie, I am John, and this is our episode. Bye.